let me go back to the 8 things that you need to know to be able to deal with the challenges of 21st century. Number 1, you must identify areas of key challenges that can face your organization. And that's what I've been doing, looking at, okay, the challenges facing the organization today, major challenge is COVID-19. However, the other factors, which are the ripple effect, I call them, is the economic problem. Is the fact that your staff cannot meet again in the office. Is the fact that each time that the government shuts you down, you will expend more money, which is more than what the government is giving you for solution. The fact is that many industries are now cutting down because they cannot meet up and rendering people jobless. Could they have been able to still maintain those staff without rendering them jobless? Yes. I beg to differ from those who believe that they have to, release all these thousands of people and make them jobless. I challenge the leadership of industries that do that. Very much challenge them, because these are people who have produced profit for the company over the years they have been in the company. It is unethical now for any industry to say that because of these challenges we have to render these people useless. Really, I don't think it is professional to do that, because the industry have built these people, they have invested on these people resources up to now. So all the resources that you have invested on your staff, those who are relieving people of 3,000 people or 2,000 people, all those resources, evaluate them, quantify them, and you discover that it's a great loss for the industry. The reason why industries can fall a victim of such is because the leadership is not futuristic. They are not 21st century compliant, let me say. And that's the reason why this kind of lecture, people need to hear it. And I want to say this, that anyone who listens to what I'm teaching you now, and you now implement it regardless of your industry, whether it's Unilever, whether it's Shell, whether it's, Marks and Spencers and stuff, what I'm saying to you, if you do it now, regardless of what happens in the future, you will not need to lose one staff. You will not need to lose one staff. And you cannot even also lose your value chain. That's the reason why I said to you that a 21st century leadership, from the definition that we're given, is a futuristic leader who has built a framework that can navigate through all complexities. British Airways does not need to sack all those staff. Do you know something? This is it. Somebody who is very, very intelligent and who is very current only need to prepare to set up another airline by next year. And all these people that these big airlines have set away begin to employ them, because the big airlines have invested in them, and that is going to happen. Let me tell you this. That is going to happen. New industries are going to emerge from this calamity. And the people who are working on that are now working right now. And they will arise in every sphere. The same thing with the churches. The same thing with the churches. There are some churches that are closing down now, reducing speedily, because their members are now going to the YouTube, to the Facebook, to listen to other preachers, and some of them are discovering that, what am I wasting my life in this church all these years? I better move here. And so you are seeing a shift happening in the church as well. The same thing will happen in industry. Any church that is not current in our time, any industry that is not current, that cannot face the challenges of this day, will fizzle out. But new industries shall emerge, because human wants shall always be satisfied by one means or the other. So this has nothing to do with devil. It has to do with knowledge. So things that you need to think about, identify your key challenges. Number 1, you must identify your current challenges every time. Every time. Challenges are things that are, I will call them deterrents. Something that tries to deter you from achieving a particular aim. That is a challenge. The second thing is that you must identify the current developments that could pose future challenges. Why? You know that now we're having COVID challenge. All right? What other things can happen in the future that may also pose challenges. Because we don't want to solve the problem of COVID alone. We want to solve the problem of COVID in such a way that should anything happen again that will disrupt our normal way of meeting, that structure we set up can navigate through it. That is what you're saying. And on this come under what is called disruptive technology. In trying to solve this issue, a futuristic leader, a 21st century leader or end-time leader will solve it with the mind that the new framework I'm building now, what about 5 years time, 10 years time, 20 years time, this also happened, something at all happened that people have to lock down or people cannot reach me anymore. Something had to happen that affected my value chain, that is disruptive to my value chain. The framework I'm setting up now, will it be able to still communicate my value chain? Value chain is very, very easy. It's not something that is very rocket science stuff. It is your procedure by which you get what you produce to distribution to delivery. That's all. That's all. That's all. A preacher of the gospel, his value chain first is his internal stakeholders, how you communicate the gospel to the people who are listening to you, who are your people. Then your second people that is important are the outsiders. How do you communicate the gospel to them? And that has to do, our own product is preaching the gospel. In preaching the gospel, we have to look at the branding of our product. We have to look at the communication or the transportation of our product. We have to look at the delivery of our product. And we have to make sure that we have a framework that come rain, come sunshine, we will still achieve our aim, both to internal and external stakeholders. Same thing with industry. Your current challenges, then what other likely challenges for the future, which is disruptive technologies. Number 3, your current structure of your organization. It's a time to check the structure of the organization. Because if you don't check your structure, you will never be able to build a proper framework. You have to revisit your structure. Maybe you need a tweak somewhere. Number 4, you have to look at structure stroke policy. That is the policies that you made to sustain your structure and to make your structure workable. And those policies, now that you have, let me give you an example. In Church of God now, health and safety have increased, and I'm sure in other industry. Now, you see people now marking distances before you enter a shopping center. In the church, you have distances marked, 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. You have to write policies about that now. We have to write policies about when people come to church, how they must stand before they enter the church. It's an orderly manner, and they come into church orderly, not just everybody crashing the gate. And we have policy that the ushers will lead each person to their seats, row by row, row by row, row by row. You don't have people saying, I don't want to sit there now, because they have to sit there. And then when people close service, another, what a policy is that you sit down, everybody, and the ushers will lead you out row by row, row by row. Is that not a good thing to at least that deter accidents a lot? It's an orderly way, and we have to continue that. It's not that when COVID is over, then we just go back to our normal rushing way. No. We have to consider that. And this is what we're talking about. The policies that can operate the new structure or new framework that emerge from the structure that you have. If your structure is very okay. Number 5, your trajectory of implementation must be adequately planned. All the plans you have, implementation. Let me tell you, in this season that we have in CFT Church, Church of God have not been involved, I would say, our own church. We do not have a department for research and development. I have set up one due to these challenges. And I have written the kind of people, that is the knowledge that those who will constitute my research and development will be. And I've also written the method of evaluating those who can. So that those who are in research and in my research and development, I will give them the projects, I'm thinking about 30 years today, and I will end up my message by showing you all the information from the Bible. I'm thinking about 30 years today. So research and development section has to come. In the area of my media production, there are other areas that I have identified that this church need to set up and implement. Also, I saw that there are some areas of operation that we have to dismantle, all right? Not as to destroy, but to dismantle them so that instead of one name and focus operation, we dismantle them into 3 parts. So that each part, because I discovered that these COVID challenges had revealed to us that we have, like a group, we have about 4 operations going in one group, and because of that, it has hindered specialization of industry. And so in this COVID time, I've divided that very big group into 4 factions so that each one can now face a particular area of skill. And that is where innovation can come in. And they can bring all this innovation together. Come, rain, come, sunshine. Let worse than COVID happen. CFT will thrive. Because in this COVID season, really, I can say that in my own church, we're not affected by anything. You know, we are reaching people, our members, because we pray every day, we meet every day and pray every day. That is through the Zoom and through what do you call it? YouTube. I meet my members daily. I speak to them daily. We pray daily for an hour for the past 234 days today. And that is better for me because before, I could only come to the daily prayer in church and meet a handful of people. But now, I'm praying with people over 1,000 every day of my membership. And I'm able to teach them also every day. Even if it is just 15 minutes I'm teaching each day, something impactful to their life, which was not so before. And I'm able to reach people outside because I discovered that from last Sunday I began to teach you about 21st century leadership. Between last Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I saw on Monday the number of people who we meet on a daily basis for prayer, 1 hour prayer, who had been within the range of 1,500. But from Monday, it has shot up to over 2,000 because of this 15 minutes lecture I'm now introducing on Mondays. So we are achieving. However, when COVID is over, we will continue with this strength that we have. And that's what I'm talking about. Policies must be in place. Trajectory to implementation must be adequately planned and maintained. Number 7. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Number 6. There must be adequate training to keep up rapid global changes or challenges. You know, the globe is changing rapidly. And we must have a strategic, adequate. And I love the word adequate. Not just go for a course because people are going to school, let me go and read this. The fact is this, what you are reading, what value will it add to yourself? And what relevance is it in your 3-year, 5-year plan? You don't just go to school. You go to study something that is adequate. So that when you add that to your values, you can go higher in life. Go higher in life. So institutions need to recognize this, that because now we are now going into social media stuff, I think all staff needed to be trained on the basics of social media. And I think those who are the chief executive need to study about social media. I did that when we started because when this lockdown happened, one of the things that came to my mind is that now we know that social media, we cannot meet in church, but we can reach people by social media. So how? While I gave all the people in the media section, I gave them the assignment to go and look for what to do. I myself, I didn't fold my hands. I began to, study now. I have to now study various availables, in the market. And then before I concluded that Zoom is the most adequate to what I want to do, my delivery. So I have to go and do the training of Zoom. But while I was doing Zoom, I discovered that Zoom has a lacuna. in the sense that Zoom is not an editing tool. It is a communication tool. But you know, people have known our church, Christ Faith Tabernacle, for high standard. So how can I maintain the high standard on Zoom? So we need an editing tool. Our editing tool, we have one in the church, which is big machine, which I'm speaking through now. But then, if I have to go to church every day to pray, it will wear off my staff and it will weary me too. So it means that I have to produce everything from my house daily. And I cannot be inviting members into my house every day because my house is even far. Therefore, I have to now learn myself. So I have to learn about Wirecast, which is a low-end software I've been using before. Now learn it and master it. Then I went to look at lecture of Zoom. Every day I do a lecture on Zoom until I master it. And then I looked at my other software, which we have been using that for post editing, which is Adobe Premiere, and then start to read it again so that I understand it very, very well. Go from basic to a better knowledge of it, and then look at all these templates. Then design a framework how this will work with this to go into this, and then go to the YouTube or go to the social media. I have to do that myself. Then I have to now study about the artisanship. How can I be preaching and I'm controlling all this editing stuff? How can I be speaking and controlling all this editing? So all what I will give to my various members in the social media, in the media team, I have to acquire it myself. I have to train my son. I have to train my wife. They are the ones who are tuned with me. So now what we produce every evening, I can tell you that it is produced from my house. And I can tell you that I'm in charge of everything. And I can tell you that there's no regret. Nobody looked at our program now and said that we are not, BBC cannot do better than Christ Faith Tabernacle. That's our program. If you doubt what I'm saying, join me today at 7 p.m. on your YouTube. But if you look at our YouTube also, we started from one platform and then we integrated further, because what I'm teaching you here, adequate trainings, not training. When you are training a platform and you have a standard, you have to go to a higher standard. As I produce, I watch the BBC, I watch the ITV, and I watch Al Jazeera. Those are the three major television I watch. I watch their production. I watch, their template and evaluate them. Of course, I did, first degree in multimedia and broadcasting. But that notwithstanding, that has helped me, of course. But that notwithstanding, I studied in 2001 to 2003. I got my degree. But the multimedia today is different. Even they don't call it multimedia anymore. They call it some other names. So adequate training is a lifelong training. It is not a training that you have just for one day or one time and then you throw the towel away. No. It is a continuous progressive training. Then number 7, establishing and investing in relevant and effective research and development section. And that's what I said that is here now. We are going to start that within the area of researches that I know that things God put in my head for the church to do, but the church is not doing. And that is the area of research, so that we can be proactive. We can invent so many things waiting for finance. Some people pray that God bless me, God bless me, God bless me. God is saying that, what will I bless? You sleep and wake up every day. You have nothing to bless. But if somebody uses his mind all the time and establish various things that could be done, and you do your research, you do all your analysis to the final stage, only waiting for finance, then God can bring the finance. You must be very researchful. And the final thing is, you must regularly evaluate the impact of your various initiatives. All the initiatives that you have devised, all the initiatives that you have implemented, you have to stop and evaluate whether the impact is really effective. And that is the reason why I can tell you today that Last Sunday, I started teaching you on high impact leadership. The previous week, I started teaching you on 15 minutes during the, in our social media. And I discovered myself that the number of people who are hitting the social media just increased within the week. They really doubled within this week. So I called the head of media and said to the head of media, are you aware of this? Because I have them in the media who analyze each of our platform every week. They will give me graphs of analysis of YouTube, of LinkedIn, of Facebook, and all stuff like that. And I would look at their analysis statistics, and then I use that to now sit down to evaluate impact. Which of the medium is most impactful for us? I look also when I'm preaching and I'm streaming, I also open the YouTube and I see discussions going on the YouTube as I'm preaching. Sometimes as I'm preaching, I'm replying some of the discussions. And I see the section that handles that. I saw them delete some people. All right? So, and those things that those people wrote, all right, they deleted them. But when I looked at them, as I'm still teaching, I would just go into that same file of that person and report that person as I'm teaching you. I'm reporting that person to Facebook, and I'm establishing the case of intimidation. And I'm still teaching. And so the next time you won't find that person again because people have to take legal action. So what I'm saying to you is that we have to evaluate every time. Really, a man who doesn't evaluate his life is just a man living without knowledge. Your evaluation of your impact has to be applicable to your life, to your family, to your work, to the church, everything that you do. Someone says that all these things Apostle is talking. Yes, Jesus says I can do all things. The Bible says I can do all things through who? Through Christ who strengthens me. In closing today, let me narrow you down to the scriptures. Did the Bible tell us about VUCA? Yes, in the end time. Let me look at the book of Matthew 24, verse 21 to 22. It says, for then there will be great distress, unequal from the beginning of the world until now. That is VUCA. And never to be equal again. If those days have not been cut short, no one will survive. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. Jesus said that in the last day there will be great distress, that is obstructive technologies. There will be VUCA, there will be volatility, there will be uncertainty, there will be complexity, there will be ambiguity. This is what Jesus said. Those things combine together to cause distress. If you look at the book of Daniel chapter 12 verse 1, it says, at that time, Michael the great prince who protects your people will arise. There will be a time of distress such as never happened from the beginning of nation until then. And the world should know this stage we are, COVID is nothing. This world is going to still be attacked by something more dangerous than COVID. It's coming. Because we prophet can tell you that. Before COVID came, I told you there are two judgments coming over the world. The first one is now, and when we entered this year, I played it yesterday live when I led you in January that the plague has come, and in this year you will see it. And I told you to pray, and I led the church to pray against it, that you will not be affected. And thank God He answered our prayer. We are not affected in Christ. No single soul was affected. Global CFT. On the 6th of January, the Holy Ghost told me, and I told you we prayed about it. Similarly, I told you in last year, in October, that I see next year that there's going to be a financial distress across the globe. But for Britain, we will be in the financial distress for 3 years. 2001, 2000 to 2003, we will be having distress in the area of finances. But I told you also that there's going to be a shaking that is emerging from next year for the next 7 years. You see, you don't think that what has happened now is the end of it. No. That's why those of you who are chief executive, if you have big industries, let me tell you something what will be happening. Now listen to me. Because of this COVID and the challenges it brought, By the time that the world will wake up in next year, into the next 3 years, you will see new inventions coming up, new innovations coming up, that the old products will become unnecessary.
Between the years of 1984 and 1999, Apostle Alfred Williams was taken to heaven on various occasions, where he was shown global events that would lead up to the year of 2015. And in 1999, the Apostle was powerfully shown the coming calendar for the world.
I want you to understand that the first war was in heaven, the first victory was in heaven, and it takes the man of heaven to win the earthly battle.
In December 2009, God instructed Apostle Alfred Williams to go into all the world and let them know that I am coming. Beloved, with this powerful instruction behind us, it is now time for us to arise, shine, and win every house for Jesus. Now is the time for the final preparation of the bride of Christ. A final trumpet call to righteousness in this time that is running out before the rapture of the church. Join us on this dynamic campaign to reach every house in Britain. They need to hear the call. Who will tell them if we do not? This is the prophesied time of harvest. It is now time for us to win every house for Jesus. For more information, call 020 7635 0447 or visit cftchurches.org. The time has come to arise, shine, and win every house for Jesus.
Behold, I am coming soon.